Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Blue Star Families Welcome Week. This week we are celebrating Blue Star families and Blue Star careers, and we are speaking to all of the military spouses and military community out there that might be looking for some insight on how to create a career plan that will land them a job in the marketplace. So we are very excited to have you join us today. We will be joined by subject matter experts, all military family community members who have embraced their communities, created a very successful career path, landed the jobs that they wanted, and then they're here today to share a little bit about themselves and some hints and tips for things that you could do in order to find the same types of success that they have. So I will kick it off, tell you a little bit about myself, and then I can't wait to introduce you to the rest of the room. I'm very excited to be here today. My name is Adam Evans. I am the Chief Strategy Officer for a company named Instant Hands. We're a technology company that serves military families across the nation. I'm also an adjunct professor of entrepreneurship for the University of Kentucky, and I'm an Air Force military spouse, probably most importantly. So very, very excited to be here and share a little bit of those experiences that I've had. But more importantly, let me jump over to my panel of subject matter experts. So first off, let me kick off with Abdil Maldonado, who is the worldwide director for HR and a Marine Corps veteran. He started his career with the Marines working in electronics, later decided to trade his technical troubleshooting skills to help solve people's unique problems, and he never looked back. So he quickly learned the value of data-driven HR. He's got a knack for balancing art and science, as well as data, everyone's favorite. And now he's got a very successful career within the military. He has worked at Syracuse University with a partnership in the Schultz Family Foundation. He's scaled his innovative career transition program for the military community in Southern California. He's worked with several HR projects, rapidly growing into an integrator in Torrance before bringing more than 15 years of HR resource management experience to the GDMG team. You've got an MBA. I know it's not listed there. You're too modest and humble. You've got an MBA from the University of California, Irvine, an MS in HR management from the University of Southern California, and you're just an all-around great guy. Welcome, Abdil.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to being here, looking forward to the panel, and looking forward to seeing what type of questions are out there.
Awesome. Ab, let me ask you, and may I call you Ab? I know we said it offline, but I want to say it here.
Totally
Ab,
fine.
What's something awesome that happened to you this week?
Dude, did you see that Raiders game? I have a good heart condition. Because if not, I don't know if I'd be here for this panel. That was awesome.
I knew it. It looks like you're in good company here. You've got a few other folks cheering us on. Welcome, Lindsay. We're just doing introductions, and we're going through the list here. Next, I've got Miss Erica Kelly, who was clapping when Ab mentioned the LA Raiders. Erica is a U.S. veteran and executive coach for diversity and inclusion, a professional speaker, but also, more importantly, an executive coach, a trainer. In your position, she's worked with a lot of global professionals where her leadership skills were utilized to add value and develop companies in their effectiveness and production goals. Erica was also the 17th Command Chief Master Sergeant for the Air Force Reserve Command and the Senior Enlisted Advisor to the Chief of the Air Force Reserve. So a very warm welcome to you, Erica. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Adam. Outside of the game, everyone, something that I do want to share with the audience is that I was able to this weekend be part of an amazing team facilitating transitioning military members and their spouses from military to civilian, all about mindset, all about refocusing how we think from wearing a uniform, being a spouse, to being in the real world, if I can say that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's incredible, Erica. Thank you. I know we're going to get into it, but thank you all for everything that you do and have done for the military community. I know you don't hear it enough, I'm sure. Next, and throwing right in, Miss Lindsay Linton, who is the co-founder of the Military Spouse Network, also an entrepreneur, and of course, an amazing Army military spouse. Lindsay is an award-winning social impact entrepreneur, a marketer, And she has also built an award-winning real estate team in the San Antonio area focused specifically on helping military families buy and sell homes. Her ability to rapidly grow to become one of her market center's top real estate teams has led her and her business partner, Karina, to create a national network that helps military families PCS across the U.S. So welcome, Lindsay. I'm so happy to have you on our panel today.
Awesome, thank you. I'm actually an Air Force spouse.
No, it's on there. I'll switch it up.
No, you're good. You're good. I was like, ooh, Army. I will get some flack from my husband on that one, so I better stand corrected.
It was a historic reference of the Air Force being born of the Army. So we will make that switch very quickly. Look at that. Bam. Welcome to the Air Force.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to talk about how real estate can be an awesome career for military spouses and veterans, and talking a bit more about if sales isn't your jam, there's many career opportunities within the real estate space. So love to share that with our listeners today.
Awesome. Next up, we've got Kelly Stuhl, who is a USO transition specialist for the Gulf Coast team. She's also the Blue Star Families Community Engagement Manager for Jacksonville, Florida's chapter, and a veterati spouse mentor. She's been a military spouse for over 18 years, traveled the globe with her husband and her 2 children. She's an advocate for all military spouses and strives to make sure all of the spouses know, and I think this is an important message of today, all military spouses are never alone, and there are always resources that will assist you no matter the situation, where you are, what you are. So I think that's really important, and it echoes all of our sentiments today. Kelly's been a Navy ombudsman twice. She's command ombudsman for the NSA Bahrain and also command ombudsman for the NAFTA Mayport. And of course, a volunteer in the free time between 4 and 4:30 a.m. is all. That's when you have time to volunteer with all the other things you're doing. Kelly, thank you for being here today. What's something awesome that happened to you this week?
Just a really quick thank you just for letting me be here today. It's amazing. When they asked me to be here, I was like, I am not worthy with all of these amazing people on here. But something awesome that really happened to me today, my 14-year-old freshman in high school got a 98 on his math test that he was crunching for. So, practice, study, it all happens. You'll get that A.
Shout out. That's awesome. I'm really excited for him. So congratulations. Certainly not least, but last on our panel to introduce is Ms. Talisha Thomas. Thank you so much for being here today. Talisha is the Department of Defense Liaison for Higher Ground Education, an Army military spouse, and has been for over 25 years, navigating those unique challenges of the military transient life, as well as being a spouse and mother to 2 sons. You have volunteered extensively with the military community and has been a senior spouse that has served as a mentor, advocated on behalf of many military spouses and many military-connected students. Her message to all of the students, and I think this is a great quote, comes from Maya Angelou, who this is my favorite quote of hers as well. People will never forget what you said. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how they made you feel. And I think that is so true, and something we can strive for on a daily basis. Talisha, thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me. And just want to say my story is a little bit different because my career is actually launching now. I have been an avid volunteer throughout this journey as a military spouse, advocating on behalf of military connected students and military spouses. So I think today my story and my advice will lend itself more towards volunteerism and the importance and relevance of that.
Absolutely. Talisha, what's something amazing that happened to you this week?
Well, actually, I don't know if it's been this week or maybe this month, but my husband and I just became empty nesters. And so it's been a very unique experience. And, everyone's been asking, have you been crying? The last one off to college, and actually I haven't been because I just feel like, my husband and I, we prepared them for this. We prepared them for their next journey, their next milestone. And so I'm just at a very, happy place for them that they're able to embark on their future. So.
Well, congratulations. I'm proud of you both. I mean, I know we've just met each other recently, but I know that is a lot of work. And I know it's got to be a very proud moment that you trust and all those things you instilled that they will carry forward as they move on to their next chapter. And you do the same.
Thank you.
Lindsay, I didn't want to leave you out. I gave everyone else a real quick opportunity to share something awesome that happened this week. So let me, before we jump into the questions for the day, circle back to you and see what was some highlight of your week.
Oh man, totally on the spot. I thought I dodged that one. Something awesome that's happened this week. We are onboarding new team members as part of Mill Housing Network. Our social impact mission is to help military spouses with employment opportunities. So we're very blessed and thankful that this week we're sending some offer letters out to some really amazing spouses to help us continue to grow our mission and help more military families all over the country. So that is the awesomeness of the week. We are growing, and I'm very excited about that.
That is phenomenal. Well, congratulations on that. And hey, for an on-the-fly answer, that was perfect, Lindsay. All right, so we're going to jump into the meat and potatoes of the meeting today. And how it's going to work is I've got a series of topics that have been presented to Blue Star families, or these are common themes, common questions that get asked by military families across the globe. Again, Blue Star Families has chapters all across the United States, but the listeners tuning in today are going to be all over the world. And basically what we're looking to do is, whether you're a seasoned spouse or brand new to the armed forces, there are usually a lot of questions that come in with, what do I do for a career? I just moved to this location. We just PCS'd. How do I build that network? So I want to dive a little bit into those topics and share some of your learned experiences with everyone who may be facing that new environment and a new community. Again, this is Welcome Week, so we want everyone to feel as welcome as possible across the board. So with that, I will start out with Kelly, if that's all right. And Kelly, one of the questions that came in for us was, without a network, we're talking a little bit about potential career options. So if you don't have a network, what is something that you think a military spouse could learn, or how can a military spouse learn about those potential career options that they may have?
Yeah, I mean, without a network, I mean, one of the greatest places that I would think would be, LinkedIn. Even if you're a little nervous about, networking and you may be a little bit of an introvert, you can definitely check that out, see what people are saying. You can go to jobs and all that kind of stuff, but you can also go to your local, Fleet and Family Service Center or Airman Readiness Center or Family Readiness Center, depending on what branch you're in. I mean, they have people there that are working for you to help you with your resume, finding a job, mock interviewing, the whole, kind of the whole 9 yards. So just kind of, you can start with your base, your base that you're stationed at, or you can just, check out LinkedIn and go from there, and then you'll create your network.
That's awesome. And I think it's important to add that those resources, the Family Readiness Centers, like you said, they go by different names depending on the branch, the Airman Readiness Center or the Fleet and Family Centers. But there are no costs to those services. And I think all of the services we're talking about today, if you're worried about having to retain someone or there's a cost, worry not, because all of these resources are set up for military families at no cost to you. So I think that's really important if that was a barrier to entry on there. Real quick follow-up, Lindsay, Kelly, and then we'll open it up to see if anybody else wants to add, is if I go to LinkedIn, what am I looking for when I'm there?
Well, first and foremost, I say, you can search, commonalities of what you're interested in. You can just kind of type, military spouse, and, a bunch of different, groups or whatever will be right there. Again, you can stay behind the scenes. You don't have to, put your face first all the time. And, start joining those places. And I think that would just be a great first step.
Awesome. Anyone else want to add to what Kelly shared?
I just want to add a very simple comment, and that sometimes that LinkedIn can be a pretty scary platform if we're not used to it. And the only secret sauce that I know about getting comfortable with LinkedIn is to get in LinkedIn, to be familiar and to just learn and to take little steps, but nonetheless take action to feel comfortable in that platform.
That's great advice. That's really great advice. All right, well, Erica, I'm going to stay with you. So if I'm looking and utilizing LinkedIn or maybe my Readiness Center, how could I learn a little bit about job markets and the job market needs of my area, wherever I'm stationed?
Well, one of the things that I share with people most of the time that I talk to them is know your own giftedness. What is your passion? What is your purpose? And if that is a starting point, then everything else just falls into place. And I understand that sometimes, specifically for the spouses and family members, uh, that family member needs to assimilate to the new culture of that new assignment for their military spouse. I absolutely get that. But I would highlight the fact that we have amazing skills that we can carry with us no matter where we are in the world. A specific example would be a license that can carry outside of the United States, outside of your state, a certification of some sort that you can utilize, and then you control your time. You control your time.
I really like that, Eric, and I'm sorry if I cut you off there. Finding your passion is so hard, but it immediately helps you find something you could wake up and do every day, as compared to just finding a job. And as soon as you land that job, because it's just a job, you immediately find yourself looking for the next job. So I think it's really important that whenever possible to find that passion or maybe advocation in your career choices, if you possibly can. Is there a way that you would recommend, and then I want to open it up to the panel, is there a way you recommend to help identify your personal passion? Because I think a lot of times there's a challenge between what I love to do as a hobby. I'm passionate about music, but I don't know that that's my avocation and where I could actually make money with my very basic piano skills. So how can I identify that passion or something that I could feel like is an avocation for me?
The first thing that I would say to the panel and my peers and the audience is that we have to fight our own self-critical voice. In order for us to find our passion, our dream, our goal, they're there. They're there. But sometimes we are the first person. We are the first person that puts that obstacle in front of us that says, I want to do that, but not me. I want to do that, but not right now. I want to do that, but I can't because, and we fill in the blank with something. I can't do it because anything. So the first step, everyone, that I would say is to start looking at what is that critical voice that we all have saying to us, and how much time are we listening to it? Because the person that we talk to the most is ourselves. What is it that we're saying to ourselves? And I think that would be the first step on truly finding our purpose and truly finding the passion that I think that all of the panel members share here, and that is that we are living our purpose.
I love that. That's telling your inner doubtful voice to go, shh.
Yes.
Tell the doubt. Ab, you were going to jump in?
Yeah, I think one thing that's really important to understand or to know is that while it may feel like this is all new, coming to a new community, looking for new resources, and trying to start a new career, in all reality, it's just new to you. It's not really new. And there are a plethora of resources if you were to reach out. I am all about finding your passion, but I also understand finding a paycheck. I'm just saying, you got to pay the bills sometimes.
Yeah.
And in HR, I have been pleasantly surprised to find out that there have been several military spouses, veterans, non-veterans, non-military community members that have had a start in HR, and probably more that were in marketing or in healthcare or in something completely unrelated to HR, that when they finally got a chance to shine, they found an alignment between them and their purpose and their paycheck, and just their career took off. So it's all about, like, when you can find a spot that you're passionate about that pays a good paycheck and you and your family are good, that's awesome. But in the in-between, sometimes it takes time to build a plan to work in a field that you're passionate about. And in between, you might have to have a paycheck that'll get you there to hold things over. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Talisha, I'm going to swing over to you because I feel like after all of these years of volunteering, you clearly must have, I hope you've had some kind of passion that fueled this fire the entire time, because that is just incredible to do so. So can you share a little bit about what, motivated you to give back to the community for as long as you have?
Absolutely. Well, I guess first it became a commitment that I had to my family. I did start in HR right out of college at a Fortune 500 company. I was a corporate recruiter. Then I married my husband. So that, career kind of changed for me. My lifestyle changed. I didn't know what I was getting into, although I've grown to love this lifestyle. I was not, from a military family, had no affiliation whatsoever with Army life. So it's interesting that we're on the subject and the topic of passion, because one of the tips that I think would be in my best interest to share to other spouses is that when you are volunteering, volunteer in areas that you are passionate about. And so I think that's what worked for me, is that, I was always accompanying my husband in his various roles of leadership. So there was always a niche for me that was already, prepared and available for me to just kind of step on in. But it was the volunteer roles that I pursued outside of his military career that really kind of led to what my passion was. And those two things were advocating for students and advocating for military spouses. And so those are the roles that I found myself getting involved in, and the types of services that I would get myself involved in from time to time. So I always suggest that you find volunteer in a role that you're passionate about, but also volunteering in a role that is easily transferable into paid employment. So a lot of times when you are volunteering at schools or in spouses clubs or at AFTV, any various role you may have, I always say, look at leadership positions, look at positions that involve like project management type skills, things like that, because those are things that employers look for. Now, at the time, I didn't really know that I was building a resume based off of my volunteer work, because it was just stuff I like to do. But it transferred so easily into the role that I have right now in higher ground education as the Department of Defense liaison. Everything that I've done for the last 25 years and that I'm continuing to do has this resurfaced in this new role. So I just want to make sure that other spouses understand that just because you're not getting paid does not mean that you're not relevant, that you're not needed, and that you're not a valuable resource to your community and to a potential employer later on.
So you've transitioned this perfectly for me. Thank you, because I wanted to ask the next question, and this is a deeper one. This is one that I think comes up very often. When we look at the military spouse community, I think there is a sense of a need for validation and some gratitude that is maybe not as frequent as it could be. And then when it comes to careers in particular, I think that passion is separate from identifying your worth. So one of the most common questions that comes up in that transition process is, my passion is in teaching and I would love to volunteer teaching and someday be a teacher. But is there any suggestion you would give? And I'll stay with you, Talisha, and then we'll open up to the panel. But advice on translating my passion and my desire and understanding what skills I then bring to the table from what I've been doing as a military spouse, helping me put that to paper so I can land that job that has a scary list of bullet points that says you need to do all these things to be a teacher. And I just know I'm caring and loving and my heart's in it. So how do I meld those two things?
Well, And it's interesting you asked because I literally just went through this process. And it is intimidating and it is a little scary. Now, an opportunity just kind of presented itself to me because, I was kind of content with, okay, I'm a stay-at-home mom and, I can volunteer, et cetera, et cetera. But then when the opportunity presented itself and there's paid employment, there was like a different type of pressure on me then. Like volunteering, you can do that. Hey, I've got this. I've done this plenty of times. But it was something about putting a dollar figure on the role that kind of changed the dynamic for me. So, like I was mentioning before, leadership, project management, like training, mentoring, all of those things are very, very valuable skills on the employment side, paid employment side. And so I think that, if you use that volunteer experience, and just make sure that you volunteered in a capacity that aligns with your career goals, and I always just kind of keep that in the background. You kind of know what your passion is. So what does that look like if I do return to work? What would my dream job be? And so if it's in human resources or if it's in dog training or whatever it is, just start kind of ordering your steps in your volunteer journey towards that. And then, like, if there are certifications you need, licenses, then go and pursue those when the time is right. When you know that, hey, I want to turn this volunteer role into a paid, role and a more permanent role, then start, preparing yourself and gathering the information you need, the resources you need. One other great piece of advice is to always have a team around you that believes in you and supports what it is that you're doing. I had, of course, my wonderful husband, but also a wonderful mentor when, I was putting all this years and years of volunteer experience on this resume. At one point I was like, are they just really going to be interested in this? Like how is this going to work? And he just told me, he said, don't sell yourself short. Don't sell yourself short. And the minute that I embraced that advice is when I just went in every interview and I interviewed with everyone from the CEO of that company, COO, just a very diverse team of people. And the interviews just felt very relaxed and comfortable because I was talking and speaking on behalf of myself and what I have dedicated my life to for the last 25 years.
I think that makes it, thank you for sharing that, Talisha. I think that makes it sincere. And when you give those answers, they never feel rehearsed because they're from your heart. And knowing that you are worthy of that opportunity, I think flips the switch a little bit. And I want to pull it into Ab because I think you've got a lot of, HR experience that you could share with us as far as what do you see from that side of the table? When military spouses are coming in and they do sell themselves short, maybe in the interview you can't call them out on it, but what have you seen through the years of ways that military spouses recognize, like Talisha did, I am worthy. I've got a lot of skills that if I could phrase what I have been doing and I surround myself with people who encourage me and they help me create these bullets on my resume to make me shine, then my words match my passion and I'm ready for the job. But where have you seen, spouses underqualifying themselves or selling themselves short, and what could they do to bring that in?
So one of the things that I see without a shadow of a doubt is when they don't know the language of the land. So you can tell they haven't played in that space. So for example, like she was saying, in regards to volunteering, being in that volunteer community, you can pick up a host of words and phrases and skill sets that they're looking for. And then you can look back at what you physically have done and say, okay, while that may not be the same, you're not going to, when you ask the interview, can you do this? No, you're going to say something like, well, I don't have experience in this specific software. In the past, I may have done A, B, and C, which resulted in X, right? So it's a bit different there. In regards to HR specific, someone trying to get in HR, the volunteer work, you got plenty of opportunities in 2 different locations. If you're anywhere outside of the LA area, I would recommend the Society for Human Resource Management. You usually have a local chapter somewhere in your area. They're always looking for help and resources. And that's a great way, while it may be a cost to play, so to speak, like a fee to show up to some of the meetings, but at least you'll be surrounded by different people with different opportunities. And by being exposed in that environment, You learn more about the environment. You learn more about what they're looking for. Plus, you get exposed to more opportunities. On the West Coast, the Professional Human Resources Association, called PIRA, is probably your best bet in any one of the counties north of San Diego, even North San Diego, but like downtown San Diego, it's going to be SHRM. So that's all the way from North San Diego all the way up to Ventura County. You probably have a better bet trying to network there. There are plenty other associations. I'm just talking about HR. So if you're looking at trying to get into manufacturing and trying to be a rep there, or you're trying to get into tech, or you're trying to get into something else, it's not new. It's just new to you. So how do you learn where that ecosystem is and how you can do it? So when a person is doing an interview, there have been times, I remember when I transitioned from the military, and when my wife, who was a military spouse, when she transitioned from working in her mom family business into an HR role, learning how, like, what are the different phrases and terms and words and metrics that matter in that environment. And once those two things align and click, it's really easy to take off. When you're missing that and you're just giving the deer in the headlights look, and I don't know what he's saying and he doesn't know what I'm saying and what's going on, and you miss each other, you miss that opportunity. And so, Talisha, in your case, maybe you can attest to this. As you got more involved in that community, you're able to speak more of the language that they're looking for, and you can understand and relate your skill set to what you are bringing to the table and what they're actually looking for, because that's what the match is, right? An employer is looking for a person with a specific set of skills or the ability to learn those skills. And a job seeker, in a nutshell, is looking for the opportunity to work for payment, preferably a salary or hourly rate, to do a certain thing that they agree to. So whether it's in HR, whether it's in tech, manufacturing, sales, retail, even as a barista, it doesn't matter. There's certain language and lingo that go with that.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I know there are some questions coming in from the audience. We're going to answer those in a little bit. So I just want to let you know, to the folks that are sharing their comments, I am seeing them, and we will get to them a little bit later in the presentation today. But I wanted to switch slight gears into goals as I get into Lindsay and some of her experiences. Lindsay, we've talked a little bit on some of the other channels about SMART goals. SMART being the, of course, acronyms, because we're the armed forces. And if it's not an acronym, we don't like it. So we've got the acronym SMART, standing for specific, measurable, attainable, reliable, and timely. And there may be some slight variations there, but basically within goal setting. Are SMART goals in the military community really smart? Do they apply to the military community and military spouses like they do in the civilian world?
Absolutely, and goals are my favorite. So I was actually just meeting with a couple folks this morning, and we were talking about goals. And one of the first questions I usually ask someone when I meet them is, what's your goal? And they usually have this look on their face like, I don't know. And so it is a startling question. But if you don't have a goal, it's like driving a car on a roundabout. You're just going to keep going in circles, and you're never getting off the roundabout and heading in the direction that you need to head. So I think it's always important to start with your goal in mind, because once you have a goal, you can build an action plan like you talked about, and we can create measurable actions that you do on a monthly basis, that you do on a weekly basis, that you do on a daily basis. Your success depends on the habits that you do every single day. So when you wake up and you start walking through your habits, I talk with a lot of realtors and business owners on this, and I coach on it. When they tell me their production or their goals aren't where they want to be, I then ask them, well, what did you do this morning? It starts there. So you have to always know your goals so you can create measurables along the way. Without that, you're driving in a circle.
Yeah. No, that's very helpful, and it drives us right into this next piece. Is I want to go just kind of round robin and sharing a little bit about your personal experiences and some of where you're working currently. We want to give the audience an idea of how to create that career action plan. So what are your best tips for creating, like, first steps and kind of play off one another? We'll start with Kelly. Getting started on that career action plan. Where do I begin? Because it's all, of course, we get all the resources all at the same time, and we'll address that later. But if I wanted to start my career action plan, where would I begin? And let's go through some of your best tips for the audience on how I would build that out.
Yeah, honestly, I think the first step, and Lindsay probably talked about this too, is it's writing that pros and con list. What are those pros and cons? Knowing what you want to make, that's all also, and also knowing where you live. Because, COLA, cost of living allowance, is different all over the world. So salaries are going to range, but don't sell yourself short. But, just know where you live and in the community that you're in, but make that pros and con list. Volunteer all over the place, because once you start volunteering, you can make connections even just within that, with the paid employees, that work there, the HR departments, all that different kind of stuff. So, and getting a mentor. So pros and cons, volunteering, and getting a mentor, because that mentor can then turn into a sponsorship at a company. And I'm not the only one that says that. I've heard it from a few different people. Your mentor, you get to know your mentor, and if you find out their company culture and, a passion you didn't know you had based on just a simple mentor. And I hate to say simple mentor, but I hope you guys are following me, just that simple phone call. In a couple of months, you could be a rock star at the company that they're working for, and they're your sponsorship as a personal reference or even a professional reference into that company. So just make your list, volunteer and get a mentor is kind of where I've always kind of started.
And Erica, I'm going to you next, but it echoes, Kelly, the idea of network. My friend Susan Rayer used to say network or not work. So you've got to make those connections, and really the military spouse community is one hell of a network. No matter where you go, where you live, it's an amazing, powerful, supportive network. Erica, best tips for building that career action plan out. I want to land a career. What should I do next?
Well, I want to agree with Kelly. We definitely, all of us, need to know our value, and equally as important, not devalue. We might know our value, but we devalue it in front of others. Networking definitely is a plus. That is what helped me more than anything else to transition from military or government work to owning my own business. And I would dare to say in this room that just owning possibly your own business. Yes, it's amazing to work for a corporation, have that steadiness, that amazing foundation. But right now, everyone, I am having a blast helping people become instructors and facilitators for diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm having a blast helping military spouses become speakers, coaches, and trainers, so they have the flexibility to work from anywhere in the world, anytime they want.
That's awesome. Talisha.
So I would say, first of all, I also agree with what the first two panelists just mentioned. But I'm going to go back to kind of gauging what your passion is, and really taking into consideration what it is that you want to do, because I firmly believe that you cannot be successful at anything that you don't love doing. You're just kind of going in checking boxes at that point. So I want to say, just embrace who you are. Identify what it is that you would really like to see and that you would really like to do for the rest of your life, if this is a career you're embarking on a new career. But then put in the work. If there are certain qualifications that in order for you to reach that goal that you may not necessarily possess right now, start pursuing those things. Start lining up if you need to go and further your education. Start doing it. The networking piece. Start making some connections in the industry that you're interested in. But I'm just going to go back to that basic of, if you're passionate about something and you know who you are and what type of role you would best serve in, I would say pursue that.
Awesome. Bab, jump in, please.
Yes. Like what she just said, like times 10. But you know what? The one thing I noticed when I talk to cats or talk to people, period, is it's not the what you're supposed to do or why you're supposed to do it. It's the how. And so there is a book. And if I offer any resources on this webinar, I will let you know how much they cost. and I'll let you know how to get them for free. The book is $10 on Amazon, but it's free in your library. Trust and believe. You can even find it on YouTube or Google. Right? It's a 2-hour job search by Steve Dalton. If you it's not going to help you find a job in 2 hours. That's not what it's about. This book honestly shows you how to step by step create a kind of like a plan, a procedure on how to reach out to complete, utter strangers on LinkedIn and ask them questions. Because what most people end up doing, and I just block them, is the second they say, "Hey, can we connect?" Sure. They slap me with a resume, and I'm like, "Dude, I don't even know you like that. Come on, man." Right?
Mhm.
So instead of that approach, there's a, granted, it's not a very manly phrase, right? He's got this acronym called TIARA. You know, when I write a book, I'll come up with something else like pills or something that's just non-binary, right? But he says tiara, and it's a acronym for certain questions to ask to get people to tell you about their story, so you can learn from them. Right? It's not new; it's just new to you. So, like she's saying, like Talisha just said, if you want to pursue something, get out there and do the work. But before you chase the wrong certification, before you chase the wrong degree, before you start chasing the wrong job opportunities, why don't you test your magic? Get out your bubble, get out the comfort zone, reach out to a couple of people, see if you could find somebody who's willing to say, you know, I've been there, it's not cool, and I'm willing to talk to you for 5 minutes. I mean, back in the day, we would say, let's go to Starbucks and meet for coffee. Now it's like, can I get 10 minutes, 15 minutes on Zoom, right? But either way, the 2-hour job search by Steve Dalton is an amazing resource to help you create the how of networking, because and it even explains the value of why networking and why the job search over the last year went from knocking on the door and, hey, you got a job, cool, I'm gonna get hired, to like you go on LinkedIn and instead of 12 people applying in the course of 4 weeks in person, now you got 400 people applying in the course of 1 week. I mean, in some cases, I have job requisitions open in 24 hours. I get 250 people applying. So how do you cipher through all that noise so quick to find the right person? And one of the better ways to do it, at least in my personal opinion, and I think people on the panel agree, is networking, because you know that person, you're already willing to vouch for them.
Well, and I think there's a connectivity within the military spouse network. If you're brand new to the armed forces, you learn very quickly that you're not a complete, total, utter stranger simply for the fact that you're a military spouse. So you start out, like when I look on LinkedIn, I think, what do we have in common? What friends do we have in common? That's kind of how you find people, and how Facebook suggests other friends. But just simply by being a military spouse, there's that built-in connection, I think, that is convenient, but also a blessing of being in this community, for sure. Lindsay, I didn't forget about you. How to close us out for this career action plan we're building.
Sure. Well, I want to just tell a quick story. I fell into real estate. So we all talk about, like, find something you're passionate about, run at it, run hard, figure out what you want to do. I never, ever thought that I would be interested in real estate. I was in corporate marketing for 10 years before I lost my job with the PCS. Went through a really bad depression trying to figure out who I was, because I measured who I was with what I did. And real estate kind of fell into my lap. So I always tell people, think outside the box when it comes to career opportunities. Also, challenge some of the traditional mindset that we have as military spouses. We are blessed to live in a community for a short period of time. Don't think of it as a curse. Think of it as a blessing. When you start thinking of it as an opportunity, you can really, like, expand what you can do. You know, a lot of people, when I got into real estate, they told me, you don't know anyone here. You're going to move, so you should never do this. And you start hearing all these naysayers. And I said, you know what? I'm going to run at it. I'm going to figure it out. And we're just going to figure it out. And here we are with a national network that connects military families all over the country, because what we discovered having PCS is that families need homes everywhere they go. How can we be that resource? So I think, as military spouses, when you start changing your mindset, that the PCS is this curse, you know, that I married my spouse and now I've got to adapt what I do, because I lived that life for a really long time. Once you lift that and you get past that mindset, you start seeing it as an opportunity, and you can just do so much. You have a wide network. Pick up your phones, my friends. literally, we've all got hundreds of contacts in our phones. Just reach out to them. Ask them who they know in Colorado or Phoenix or wherever you're at. Somebody's gonna help you. And so just be really proactive about it. And before you know it, beautiful things happen.
I love that. All right, let's shift over. We've got some Q&A from the audience. I'm going to integrate that with just some final questions I had, and I wanted to give everyone a chance on the panel to also share a little bit about other resources that you might take advantage of. So I'm going to combine the question in there from Carrie or actually the comment from Carrie in the comment section with some of the things that we were talking about resources. And the thing that she brought up that I absolutely have witnessed in my time as a key spouse has been that there is an abundance of information, and sometimes the armed forces gives it to you all at once, and that includes yourself as the military spouse and sometimes the service member, whether they're just fresh off the bus or getting ready to do the TAP classes, and it's like, all right, here's the encyclopedia of everything you need to know. If you have any questions, call me. And it's such a whirlwind of information all at once. You get that deer in headlights look, but you're also experiencing it for the first time. So I feel like all of us are not quite sure, A, what we got into, but B, where to look. So now that we've all had a chance to kind of live the life, I think it slows the pace down a little bit. But how would you overcome that challenge of feeling like, yeah, you all seem really comfortable. This panel in particular is extremely experienced in the realm. How would you advise military spouses across the board to take that breath and where to seek the information when they're ready for it? Kelly, why don't I jump in with you?
Well, if we've got a new spouses on here, we didn't always all look like this. And this, with this much information, we've been there, we've done that, we have fallen on our faces, we put our crowns back on, and we just shake it off. But yeah, it's three simple words. Use your resources. Don't be afraid. If you take a little bit from everybody speaking today, you're going to be amazing. You are all rock stars. We're military spouses. The military made us a family. So we're going to take care of each other. That's just what we do. Wholeheartedly, that's just what we're doing. But yeah, so it's just use your resources. They are out there. And if you don't know that they're out there, just like everybody was saying, we're all only a phone call away. And we will share. And I do believe sharing my failures just as much as my successes, because I have failed multiple times and amazing people have been there to pick me up. So just keep going, keep trucking, and we're all here.
Erica?
My goodness. My role in the military was as a military member. And my sons are 25 and 22, and most of their lives I've been a single parent. My exposure to the spouses were from my brothers and sisters that had spouses. And as I moved up in rank and ended up being blessed with a pretty executive role in the military, that's the time, everyone, that I truly then connected with the spouse's side of not just the Air Force, but all the branches of the military. And I want to go back to something that Lindsay said, which is I lived it. The spouse moves, you need to assimilate to the new culture, you need to stop everything you're doing. But I want to say that Lindsay was able to rediscover herself and be able to, again, all that crazy information, just move it and focus on what is it that Lindsay wanted, right? What is it that you want? What I am realizing, everyone, and I'm only speaking from my experience, and that is that there's still today, there's still spouses that are not getting jobs. And I mean, maybe this is not the platform, but I need to say it. There are still spouses that look for a job, and the minute they say that they're a military spouse, that company goes, I'm just going to have you for 2, 3 years. Do I make that investment in you? Yes or no? Some do, some don't. And that's the frustration piece of the military spouse, because they know what they bring, they know their giftedness, but there are obstacles in their path, in their pursuit to finding their passion, that maybe some of us don't face. That is pretty unique to a military family. Pretty unique to a military family. So my advice again to those spouses was to look at all that crazy, because it can look as crazy all over the place information, and then go back to what Kelly said: find a mentor, find someone that is 2, 3 steps away from you, that can at least at the beginning go, move this, move this, move this. Right now you only need this. Grab that, learn it, know it, make a step forward, and then grab anything else that you need. My advice is one step at a time with a mentor.
So I'll interject because we're getting closer to the end, but we're not done yet. I was going to say, to all of the spouses that are joining us today from coast to coast, if it hasn't been said enough, you are appreciated, you are valued, you are worth more than you probably think you are. And it sounds like from our discussion on this panel, the only thing stopping you from being successful is you, because there are so many resources out there that are here for you. We have lived it. We are assisting you, not helping you. We have all been in those shoes where we needed that assistance ourselves. And we are here today because of those before us that have helped guide us and have become our mentors. And I think that is so important, because if you're ever in our chairs, tomorrow someone else is going to host the Blue Star Families events. And I hope so, because it means, we're passing the torch to many generations of military families. I know my dad's retired Air Force as well. So I love that our tradition of caring and our tradition of community is continuing. With that being said, I wanted to swing back to Talisha and ask, just kind of going back around room, what is one resource in particular as we're closing out, towards the end here of the presentation? What's one resource that you would highly recommend? I've seen a couple pop up in the chats here from Blue Star Families and Spouse Force. What's something that you have utilized that you would recommend to other military spouses as, let's say, just one place to start looking today?
My number one resource is going to be a little bit different, because my suggestion would be to go back to the nicest person that you met when you set foot on that post. Because those are the people, no matter how many times you go to them, they may not even be subject matter experts in the area, but they can always point you in the direction of someone else who knows. And they're always willing to be there to assist you with that question. So always start, if you meet a nice person, make sure you kind of nurture that relationship, because those people will be a great ally for you.
That's beautiful, Talisha. That's like the difference between if you're in Target and someone says, oh, it's in aisle 5, and someone who says, let me take you to aisle 5. I think there's a huge difference. And if you find that person who's willing to walk with you, never let them go. That's really awesome. Ab, what you got for us? Best resource?
Can I do a couple real quick?
Yes, sir.
Easy quick fire, right?
Sure.
So if you're near a military installation, obviously, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention onward to opportunity through Syracuse University and Institute of Veterans and Military Families, especially if you're looking at getting a free training provided and a certification that is industry relevant. If, like Talisha said earlier, you've already got a mentor, you already got a plan, you know what you're trying to do, and it makes sense. And so this is a certification that can help you towards your next steps. For those of you that are also near base, Hiring Our Hero Corporate Fellowship, they have opened that up to military spouses. I think that's a great program as well. That's been very effective. For those that are not on the base and looking at HR specific, because that's where I'll focus, I would say your local SHRM chapter. If you're on the West Coast and in San Diego, I'd say the San Diego Employment Association. If you're in Orange County, the Orange County Employee Managers Association. If you're just in any of those 7 counties I mentioned earlier, the Professional and Human Resources Association. So
Awesome.
those are all great HR resources and military specific. military spouse raising.
I'm by the airbase, so you might hear the fighter jets flying over. That's my freedom. I know I'm home. Lindsay, any resources top resource you recommend for us?
Success leaves clues. And I'll echo what every panelist has talked about. If you're interested in pivoting into a new industry, find the most successful person in that industry. Reach out to them with a sincere reach out. Please don't use the phrase, "Can I pick your brain?" Instant turnoff. But reach out with a sincere question. I can't tell you how many just informational interviews that I do a week just with somebody that's interested in getting into real estate. They're not going to sugarcoat it. I never sugarcoat it. And I will give you straight, this is what it's going to take. These are the habits you're going to have to embody. And this is what you're going to have to do to make it or break it in this industry. And, you know, if that sounds like something you want to do, then run after it. But I say find those successful people, find those people in the industry. They're more accessible than you think they are. And I will say the blessing that came from COVID is that people are willing to just pop on and have a quick conversation with you versus being in an office all the time. So they're more accessible. I personally do it. I reach out to people all the time and ask them, hey, can I have 15 minutes on a Zoom? Because I just love to learn more about blah, 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 blah. And I'd love to give blah, blah, blah in return. So always lead with value.
Awesome. So we did have one quick question come in from the audience that I just wanted to address, but in a particular panel, we have someone who was a military spouse that held a government position in their last job, and it was a temp position that just finished up the contract. So trying to break back into the private sector for employment feels gets the response, you're overqualified or not selected for those positions. How would you go about maybe giving some advice to someone like that that's getting the other side of it, not just your military spouse, we have to let you go too soon, to, oh, you're overqualified, you've just finished up some pretty great work? Yeah, go ahead, Erica.
One of the things that I was very, very intentional when I was transitioning out of government work, military, and law enforcement to truly decide if I wanted to work for someone else or if I was going to take that deep breath and do it on my own. Do it on my own. And is it scary? Yes. Is it hard? Yes. Is it amazing? Yes. So for this individual, I think it's Rosalind that said this, that made this comment. Rosalind, I promise you, my friend, that if in your path there is this entrepreneurship goal of you testing the water and owning your time, you are the red tape. You're the one that says yes or no. You're the one that showcases your amazing capabilities on your own. That, and I don't know if I can say this, but they can get a hold of anybody, any of us here in the panel, because we're here to help you. We're here to find a path that fits you best. And if working on your own is your best path, I'm here, but all of us are here also to assist you with that.
Yes, absolutely. So we're coming to a close here. A couple of things I wanted to address. I wanted to echo that, and hopefully it is okay with our panel. We are the military community. We're not above or below you. We are with you. And so if anybody has any questions that we weren't able to address today, I hope you reach out to us on LinkedIn. It's probably one of the best places to send us a message. Please don't say, let me pick your brain, but you can say just about everything else, right, Lindsay?
Yeah.
But we are here for you to connect and network. And then do not forget that this is part of the Blue Star Families Welcome Week. So all of the activities this week are intended to include all families to feel more welcome in different ways. Our quick hour together was just really meant to focus on that career employment piece, with some very invaluable life lessons given to you from over 100 years. I know that's scary to say, but it's true. 100 years of experience between all of us and then some. But it is there for you, and it's not going away anytime soon. So we've got a list of different links. I know we mentioned a few resources on here. Blue Star Families and Blue Star Family Spouse Force happening this week is a great place to look for those links. If you mentor up with any of us, we can give you those links directly. And then tomorrow is going to be the Welcome Week Career-a-thon, and they're going to spend a lot of time for Blue Star Families and other panel experts sharing more hints and tips, more links. It's happening 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. So take a look if you're on Facebook or LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever you are watching from. I know we'll have all of these links posted, but of course on the Facebook and social media pages to share all the rest of the events that are happening. I sincerely hope that our time together was valuable to all of the military families. I want to thank very specifically Blue Star Families for having all of us. Thank you to my panel for this worthwhile knowledge and your kindness and your love and support for other military families. And of course, thank you to Ms. Laura Torres for setting us all up here in Blue Star Families. And last but not least, thank you to everyone watching. You got this. Have a fantastic rest of your week. And thank you so much for tuning in today. We appreciate you.